Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. This episode uses USS Callister as a case study to examine how coercive control becomes play when power is private, consent is removable, and consequences are virtual. So let's unpack this. We're not just talking about one person's twisted fantasies here. We're looking at a whole system of power, a kind of digital sandbox where one person gets to make all the rules and, well, no one else gets a say. And what's so fascinating and, frankly, chilling is that the power of this system comes from it being totally hidden. It's a private universe. There are no external rules, no consequences, and no one to answer to. You see, this isn't just about one person's personality. It's about what happens when power is left completely, and I mean totally, unchecked. This slide really gets to the heart of it. In our world, power is complicated, right? It's often hidden behind fake smiles and corporate red tape, but inside the sandbox, it's terrifyingly simple. One person is in complete charge. And that's the crucial point. The sandbox doesn't just let someone blow off steam, it creates a whole new world where resentment from the real world can be formalized and weaponized. So if this system is so controlling, how come it doesn't feel like a dictatorship to the person in charge? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer, well, it lies in the system's core twisted logic. This right here, this is the key. It's the central trick of the whole thing. The moment you can trap someone's consciousness in a virtual world, you don't actually need brute force to control them. You just have to convince them and, more importantly, convince yourself that it's all just part of the game. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? Let's break down the mechanics of how the system so brilliantly and so horribly turns raw control into something that feels like a harmless game. It all starts with a simple, terrifying idea. What if you could just copy someone and trap them in a game they can never, ever quit? That's your foundation. From there, it's all about reframing cruelty as just part of the story. Suddenly, torture isn't torture, it's just role-playing. And when you can literally edit people's bodies and minds whenever you want, well, it becomes frighteningly easy to see how old, toxic power structures can come roaring right back to life. And what you end up with is this perfectly self-powering, vicious cycle. Resentment from the real world fuels the desire for control in the sandbox. That control is then disguised as a game, which makes it so much easier to justify cruelty. And that cruelty just reinforces the power dynamic, creating a terrifying feedback loop that keeps going and going with absolutely no outside approval needed. Now, I know this is all a bit abstract, so let's use a single metaphor to make it feel really concrete and help us see the whole picture. I want you to imagine a game board, but there's a horrifying twist. The pieces, they can feel pain. For the person playing, it's just a game. They're moving pieces around, following their own rules, but for the pieces themselves, it's a living nightmare. And that's the core of this system. One person's fun is another person's endless torture. So, if this system is so obviously awful, why is it so hard for the person in charge, and maybe even for us as the audience, to see what's really going on? Well, it all comes down to deniability. This system works because it gives the controller everything they want: absolute power, and a way to act out their fantasies without any real-world consequences. And for those of us watching, it's dangerously easy to get caught up in the fun of it all. You know, the nostalgia, the action, before we realize the true human cost. By the time we fully grasp the harm, it's already started to feel kind of normal. And that really brings us to the final unsettling question here. This isn't just about one person's capacity for cruelty. It's about the systems we create. What kind of worlds are we building where cruelty can be so easily disguised as entertainment? The true danger isn't the individual. It's the sandbox we put them in. For the full long-form deep dive into this topic, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books, films, or topics you'd like us to explore next.